Alright, so for this part of the tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to create a Google Submit Assessments form and organize it, and also drag other forms that you're using so that they send their submissions into that form. So you're going to start in your Drive. If you're in your email, that's perfectly fine. You can open up Drive by clicking the waffle, select up Google Drive. It'll bring you to your main page. What you're going to do from here is select New, More, and Google Forms. So now I'm in the new Google Drive. If you're still using the old one, it's a similar process but a little bit different. I'll create my form for next year because I'm going to update each year. So title the form, whatever you'd like it to be, really. I call it Submit Assessments, class name or teacher name, and we'll 2015, 2016. I always like to add in the year because I've had students that submit in the wrong year. They're not necessarily paying attention. So I'm going to use some of the same things that I have in my form currently. I can go check on what the live form looks like, but I like to separate last name and first name. So we'll go last name and a text. Make that a required question. You can use this duplicate button to make it pretty quick to add the same question again or a similar question. So if I'm looking at, let's go to the Submit Assessments form. There we go. Got last name, first name. For me, I do an assessment level. So if I'm adding in an assessment level that the student is going to choose, I can do a different option like a multiple choice. So this is introductory, intermediate, and advanced. So now the student is able to select what level they're at. These are all the purpose for creating the different levels, the purpose for creating the names. These are all creating sort categories for when we go to actually look at the assessment. Do the ensemble. For the ensemble, for me, it is not a multiple choice, but I want to make sure that they can check boxes so that they can be in multiple ensembles. So I put in all the ensembles possible for the assessment. That way the student's able to do that. Now here the next thing that I'm going to create is a drop-down menu. So this is the student's ability to select the assessment. So this can look completely different depending on how you want to do it. I do mine as a choose from a list, which creates a drop-down like you see in this Submit Assessments form. I can add or subtract from this list as much as I want. So if I want all of these assignments to be on there, which I started with at the beginning of the year, that's perfectly fine. If I know we're only working on Unit 1 and 2, I don't have any students on Unit 3 yet, then I can just have Unit 1 and 2 in there. So for next year, we'll go Unit 1, Formative 1. I make them generic because, again, they can select from a couple of different options. So Unit 1, Formative 2, Unit 1, Summative. So those are a couple of the options, and that's going to look as a drop-down menu for the student as they add in. And then finally, I'm just going to create a whole bunch of text boxes. So these are links that the student is selecting from. So they're going to go with a paragraph text so they can add as much text in as they want. Not going to make any of these a required question, and I'm going to just duplicate it a couple of times so they can add as many links as they would like to. So now I've got, as you look here, none of the progress report links are live. I specified what they were this year. There's really no need to. The student can put them in any different spot and you're going to find it. As we look here, so I've got just links available. So we can always check the preview by viewing the live form. Boy, that looks ugly, so we're going to want to add something to that to make it look nicer. But the student's adding a last name, first name, what assessment level they're at, which ensembles they're in. They've got a drop-down available for what assessment they're doing, and then you're creating just a couple open boxes. I'll show you how those interact later. So that's the idea of what we want this to look like. Now, if I go from my Submit Assessments form, this is what it looks like this year, 2014, 2015 Redner. I've got a ton of assessment options in there as well. If I take you to what that looks like from my end, Here's the student submission form. So if I were to fill out this submission form, let's say Redner, I'll do the advanced level. Today I'm in the marching band, the jazz ensemble, and the wind ensemble. I am going to turn in my key signature formative assessment 1, and here is the link to it. When I submit that, for me, it goes directly into the student submission part. Dun, da, da, da. Not quite there yet for some reason. So it'll show up in time, and I get a notification that the student has completed the assessment. I'm then able to take a look at that assessment. So for instance, the concert band playing assessment, when that comes in, again, I specified boxes this year for links, but as you notice, most of the students use one link, sometimes two. For the marching band formative assessments in particular, sometimes they use multiple links, but in general they're using one link box as they're handing in one file. So there's no necessary need for it. So from this point, what you would do is you're going to organize down here by using the tab button to add a sheet for whatever the assignment is. So if it is unit, we can go down here and rename Unit 1 formative, and that's what was handed in. If it ever comes through, it will. So when that comes through, I'd be able to put that over into Unit 1 formative and organize it that way. If you don't want that sheet anymore, delete it, you can copy it, you can move it wherever you'd like to go. Last thing I'm going to show you is how to take an assessment like this concert band reflection, which started off here. So this is a completely separate form that I created for a concert band reflection for the students. They were doing this post-concert in January, and I didn't want to have to go and look at this form and go into my drive and search for the post-concert reflection for January. So instead, in the edit part of the form, we'll give this a minute to update here. Here we go. In the edit part of the form, up in the responses area, I was able to change response destination. When I changed it, I put it into an existing spreadsheet, which is the submit assessments form that I've created. And once it did that, it siphons all of the responses for those students into this form here. So now I still go to my submit assessments form, 1415, and all of those assessments drop right in here as the student completes them.